Sausage Party Foodtopia is a new adult animated series on Amazon that is a semi-sequel to the adult animated movie Sausage Party that came out in 2016. So, 8 years removed from when the movie originally came out, we have this new show, which is a little bit surprising because I do remember that movie, but I don't really think it was super well accepted. There's a lot of controversy because, of course, it's this really adult, kind of gross, disgusting humor type movie. But I think there's other things that kind of held it back. But I do remember watching the movie when it came out on streaming, and I just kind of felt like it was an okay movie. It's one of those movies where it heavily relies on the raunchy jokes and everything like that. Nothing super amazing, nothing super terrible, I would say. At least from what I remember, because it has been years since I've seen it, and it is 8 years old. So it was kind of surprised to find out that there was an animated series on Amazon. I don't know, maybe Seth Rogen, I think he was one of the main creators for that movie, just really loved the idea and pitched it to Amazon. And they're like, yeah, okay. Because I know he produces the Invincible animated series for Amazon as well, I want to say. Or maybe it was the Invincible movie he was producing, I can't remember. But he does do a voice on the Invincible series. Anyway, this show is okay. Kind of like the movie, it really depends on a lot of the raunchy humor, which a lot of it did hit for me. There was a lot of jokes which I enjoyed. I did laugh throughout the 8-episode series, but overall it was just kind of okay. So this movie, and spoilers for the original Sausage Party movie if you haven't seen it, this movie takes place kind of after the movie. At the end of the movie, they figure out that they're cartoon characters and they build a portal to go into the real world to, I guess, murder all the people who created the movie. But this takes place a little bit before that. Before that ending, I can't remember if that was the end or end credit scene, but towards the end of the movie, they figure out that, the humans are, the main thing is they figure out humans are eating them, but they rebel against the humans at the end of the movie and they start murdering them all. This kind of takes place during that time or after that time. It's a little weird how it takes place. Like I said, it's the end of the movie, but not really. It's kind of like this weird limbo where, it's connected to the movie, but maybe routes in an alternate universe type thing. Anyway, at the beginning of the show, they ended the war against humans, and they start this new civilization called Foodtopia. And this is pretty much what the show is. We follow them trying to set up their society and learn to be free out in the real world where they don't understand everything like rain and stuff like that because they're so used to being in a grocery store. Very simple idea, and it utilizes it pretty good. It leads to some interesting stories, but overall it's just kind of okay. Like I said, it's really dependent on the raunchy stories. Most of the characters are pretty kind of one-note and forgettable. I only really like Barry, who's voiced by Michael Cera. I think he's kind of hilarious and likable and super energetic, which is another thing about this show. They got pretty much all the voice actors back from the original movie. Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, Michael Cera, Edward Norton, and there's some characters that were in here that were removed. Mainly the overly, I think, racist characters. Like there's a character named Firewater, which was like a bottle of whiskey or something like that, who was supposed to be Native American, that I'm pretty sure they removed. I don't know if he died in the movie or whatever. And then there was Lavash, who was, I don't know, some kind of brat or something like that, who was alive at the end of the movie, but they kill off in the beginning of the series. Again, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, so it's a little, I'm confused of what exactly happened in the movie and if it's exactly to the show. But anyway, the voice acting is really good. They got great comedians and everything like that. And they have good jokes, but overall the stories are very simple. There's nothing super unique, but it's just to get them in kind of fun situations as they're trying to develop their society. So it's an okay show. For me, it's a 5 out of 10. It's average, mid, probably forgettable. I'm not gonna really think about it much until maybe the second season comes out, and maybe the second season will be better because there are some fun things that happen towards the end. You're like, well, maybe this can work because it is interesting to see these anthropomorphic food beings, murder all the people and take over and try to start their own civilization. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there that they can do, but I don't know if they will do, if they're just going to stick to the jokes and everything. But, as series goes on, they tend to maybe improve. Sometimes they get worse, but I guess we'll see. Like I said, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. Average, mid, nothing overly bad, nothing overly good. It was just an okay movie. But I want to quickly talk spoilers and go more into the story. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you haven't seen the show, it's on Amazon. Go check it out if you're interested. If you really love the movie, then you're gonna love the show. I think. Again, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but they're pretty much right there, the same jokes, same characters, and everything. So. Spoilers. So like I said, in the beginning of the show, they finished killing off all the humans, or supposedly they finished killing off the humans, and then they have an orgy, because of course they have an orgy, just like in the movie. But then it starts raining, and a lot of the foods start dying, and they're like very confused. They're like, what is this, stuff falling from the ceiling? They have no idea what it is. And at the end of the episode, we learn that there are some humans left. So Barry and Frank and Brenda go to free these food that were taken hostage by them. And they end up killing 2 out of the 3 humans that they find. And they take one captive to interrogate so he can explain what the rain is and tell all the other food people what rain is, because they went back to the grocery store that's falling apart and isn't safe. So he tells them it's just rain. It happens if there's clouds outside, avoid the rain, or go inside and avoid it because then rain might fall. And if it's nice and blue and sunny, then you're fine. And again, like after that, they move out of at the end of the episode, they move out of that grocery store and they go into the town or this shopping center, and this is where they set up their civilization. Food people start choosing stores to live in, and that becomes their homes and everything like that. And as the show goes on, there's this character, Orange Julius, who's the main antagonist. Well, he starts off as the main antagonist, and we think he's the main antagonist, but there's a twist. So he's the main bad guy. Everyone has teeth that they stole from humans. They took them as status symbols every time they killed the humans to be like, yeah, they're not using us to eat us or whatever. But Julius decides to use it as currency, so he starts charging people teeth and starts creating a money system. And of course, the less teeth you have, the poorer you are. So the poor people the food starts suffering, and they can't afford to go inside a refrigerator if they need to. So they start dying and rotting and melting and everything like that, which kind of starts creating the main conflict for the show. There's other things that happen. Like Barry wants to burn the human, but Frank and Brenda want to keep him alive just in case that something else happens, because he saves their life twice. One, they inform him about the rain, and then secondly, he tells them about crows, because the crow starts eating some of the food people. So they're like, oh, you got to set up a scarecrow. So they're like, well, the human's been useful. We need to keep him alive. So Brenda and Frank secretly hide away the human, and they kill another one because they have this big Burning Man ceremony where they were planning on burning the guy alive, but they end up burning someone who's like slightly alive, dying. But they don't realize, the other food don't realize until later. But anyway, yeah, it's just the conflict with the civilization, because then crime starts popping up. So Brenda and Frank set up a police task force, which is working at first, but then they become corrupt. And then they're like, well, what are we supposed to do with these people? So they create a judicial system with a judge and everything in jails. And the human just kind of laughs at them. He's just like, you're just creating human things because all this stuff isn't working. He's like, those are human things. We've done it before, and they're just failing. You're just repeating our own mistakes. So he finds it funny. But yeah, and like the big story ends up being that they're having a presidential election, which of course you have a big orange freaking douchebag guy who's running for president, and then 2 other guys, little on the nose, but whatever. So Brenda and Frank are running against Julius. Sammy, who's a bagel voiced by Edward Norton, they're throughout the series, he was one of the main characters of the movie, but throughout the series, he's kind of separated from the group where he's getting this joy from being a personality, like a celebrity personality. His lover, Lavash, died. He was one of the main characters in the movie. So he's just trying to, kind of, at least kind of seemed like that at the beginning. He's trying to bury that sadness, but it kind of loses a little bit of that towards the end of the movie. But he becomes this big like TV personality throughout the show, and kind of turns against his friends until he joins them at the end. So the show's very effed up. There's a scene where Frank the hot dog has sex with the human guy, and he gets a bunch of jizz thrown all over him, which is freaking crazy. And I don't know why I'm mentioning it, but it's kind of a plot point where Brenda turns against him, and Barry kind of turns against him because he's a human effer, So that comes up during the election. So they're having their, thing. Shoot, man, I can't even remember what it's called, but they're being questioned and everything. And of course, Sammy is throwing softballs at Julius. And then Brenda and Frank. Brenda wants to remove the money system so everyone's equal, but Frank doesn't agree. He thinks that it's just turning people against them. But they end up separating during this point, and Brenda goes out and she's like, you know what? He's a human effort. He has sex with a human. So that turns the people against him, and Julius ends up becoming president. And then Brenda goes to confront him to be like, you're a food person. We can take care of the people. You're not really a bad person or food. But she finds out when she goes to confront him that there's this little rice that was in the first 2 episodes that kind of disappeared. That I noticed. I was like, what happened to the little rice character? But it turned out the rice character was controlling Julius. It goes up Julius's butt and just controls it as a mech. Something that was established in the movie and earlier in the show, that if you go inside a person's butt and tug on their scrotum, you can control them as a mech robot. I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, she's controlling Julius, and she's the one who's been making him do all these evil things, because she saw early on that the food weren't united and they were against each other. So she's like, well, I'm going to, get mine and take advantage. If we can't get along together, then I'm just going to take care of myself, which is what she's been doing. She's bought up the biggest shops and everything, created these big businesses, and, taking all these teeth, but it's left all these poor food dying and rotting out in the street. But hey, she's happy right inside her system. So Brenda tries to fight her and free Julius, but they end up in a sink, and the little rice turns on the faucet and ends up killing Brenda. And at that time, Frank goes to try to talk to her, and he kind of follows her. He just kind of stumbles upon her, and then he finds her dying, and they have one last conversation, but then he's found by the police and arrested. And the last episode is him going to be executed, but Barry and Sammy get the evidence that the little rice has been controlling Julius. So it turns into this battle to save him at the end, and they get the help of the human who, I believe his name is Jack or Jake, I can't really remember, who has fallen in love with Frank, so of course he goes to help him, and he's kind of an asset even though they hate him to the food people. But then again, Julius is overthrown. They're going to kill the little rice, but Frank's like, no, Brenda wouldn't have wanted this. But then the crow comes back and takes the rice and eats it because their scarecrow fell down. And they end up putting the scarecrow back. So they're like, we're just going to have elections again to see who's best suited to run this stuff. And I kind of like this ending where Frank's just like, no, these people don't know what they're doing. So he gets the human guy and he puts him in all this protective gear. And he goes confront the people. And he's like, we're not going to vote. He's like, no one else is going to try to be president or be in charge. He's like, I am in charge. And with his big human, he's like, if anyone has anything to say, I dare you to freaking attack us. They try to attack Jake the human, but they can't do anything about him because he's armored up, so they can't kill him or anything. So Frank's just like, I am in charge now. And this is kind of where it ends, where like the food are like, oh my gosh, and Frank's becoming this dictator with this big human. But then we kind of zoom up, and then we see this drone flying in the sky, looking down at what's happening, and this is where the show in the last episode ends. which it kind of got me intrigued for the next season. I'm like, what's going to happen? Or what is Frank going to do with the human? Because honestly, that was kind of the most interesting thing to happen in the entire show. So I was like, it's getting good, but you're ending it now. So that's the end of the first season. I know they have announced that it's been picked up for a second season. So probably come out sometime next year. I guess we'll see how it is, if it's any good. But like I said, it's an average show. I skipped over a lot of things because it's kind of episodic, where there's a lot of episodes that don't really lead anywhere. Some things do, but it doesn't really get into the big storyline until the election stuff. Like, it's leading up to it, but a lot of that stuff is just kind of like there and in the background unless you're watching it or noticing it. But it's not a big deal. It's not like this big, huge storyline. But overall, average show. If you watched it, did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you watch the movie? Did you love the movie? Did you hate the movie? Did you even remember the movie? Were you surprised about this show? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.